Good morning, friends. Welcome back to the House of Tone. I appreciate you dropping in today. This morning is a project that has been going on for a while. This video was actually intended to be a short, so in the vertical style, but I've been running all kinds of roadblocks on it, and this video is as much about the repair of an instrument as it is your personal philosophy of repair. So let's jump right in. If you watched the short videos, you saw where I did a restoration of an old con bell and I replaced the main tuning slide. This is the slide section of that horn. It's in pieces now. I'm going to try to narrate through the shorts, but it all led to here. Let's take a close look at what's going on. So what we've got going on is the slide was extremely jammed, lots of dents, lots of bad, severe bends. Here we can see it's got lots of dents just down. I use a Sharpie to color everything in so I can find them as I go. There were some pockets that were deeper than others. I then go to the mandrel and start tapping them out, like always. Light tapping, bringing everything back in. So this is after that, so everything's cooking along good. We put it back together, and it's okay. It's not good, but it's okay. It functions, but it's not where I want it to be. I'm not satisfied. So when I look at the ends of the stockings on the inner slide, the plating is peeling off, pitted, scratched. It's in bad shape. So I buff it. This is standard procedure. To buff the stockings to make them look nicer and to make the plating lay down and be much smoother. So chrome is harder than brass, so it causes burrs on the inside. From here, I sourced a new old stock slide crook since this one was so damaged. And so we're going to take it all apart and get all that stuff out of the way and get ready for an install. I was feeling okay about the slide. I think it was going to be fine. But I still just was not happy with it. So I get out the leveling stone. I check it. You can see there that it's off a little bit. So I'm going back and forth. I'm getting things straight. You're right. At one point I pulled out my feeler gauges. I don't think that's in these clips, but I pulled out my feeler gauges and was checking everything. I want everything to be square and everything to be right. Now I'm checking the inner slide, and it was good. It was still straight and square. So now I'm putting things back together with no slide crook on the end. And you can see it just hangs up there in the top first, second, third position. It's just not where it needs to be. It just kind of holds up. So that leads us to here. We've got some tremendously worn spots in the plating, and this is after I've buffed it. You can see there's damage to the plating on both slides, some rot. And I went in and feathered that and buffed it, and it made the action a lot smoother. On the slide tubes themselves, you can see all my Sharpie marks from where I marked dents and how straight my light lines are now. Some other areas of concern, let's see, I believe it's on this bottom slide. Here, I see people asking about red rot. This is a section of red rot. And what this is it doesn't feel good inside the horn. It's not necessarily weakened yet on this particular instrument, but it interrupts the surface on the inside. So I've got all the parts basically working. However, when I do each individual slide, it's that pickiness of my nature that I feel it inside ever so slightly. I know this horn is 50 years old, but as a player, that's distracting and it bothers me. I don't feel it as much when I'm in a straight vertical. When I put it into playing position and I just let it drop, that's when I feel it more. Same with the lower slide. The areas inside where there's a little touch of red rot and the outer where the plating is failed, and you just kind of feel it. But the slide overall feels really good. Everything is straight. But I'm going to show you another little trick about that too. But it's frictionless, but it's still got just that little bit of drag. And so we're gonna fix that. I believe that the upper tube is still slightly bent. So let's have a go at checking that. Usually you see me sighting a trombone slide. I'm using the light to make 2 light lines, and I use those like train tracks. Train tracks are always parallel. I check it on a stone, use feeler gauges, the whole bit. As a player, you just know when it's not right. You can just feel it. And sometimes it feels like you're chasing your tail day after day after day. What we're going to use is the corner of the toolbox. Let me set this up. This is the lower tube. And I know that I'm not going to be able to get this exactly the way you would see it in real life, but maybe this will give you the clues or help that you need in your own work. Use this corner of the toolbox as a straight. Now you want to draw a line from your slide into that. Let's see if we can help this out a little bit. And this slide is straight. Let's see if I can make it focus down there. In both planes. I know the camera is making it look kind of weird, but when you're in real life with your own eye, you don't have camera distortion. Now, this other tube, the top tube actually, for comparison, there is a slight bend right here, and we want to take care of that. When you have the tubes apart, it gives you a little bit more flexibility of getting those checked. Set up our example again, and now we see that that tube is straight. Now let's check it on the horn. Let's check this upper tube. That feels way better. I can still feel the plating issue spots, but on the overall, the tube feels straight now. It felt good before, but it just didn't feel right. Because you're doing a restoration and you're preserving the old parts, how far do you go? Do you follow every little annoyance trying to get it as perfect as you can, or do you just go, that's good enough, and send it out? I try to get things as close as I can. I want to check these together now and get that brace back in the right spot. And that feels dramatically better. It was just slightly bowed still. Even after checking it on stones, even after I've been at this, hitting it every day for a while now, and I just couldn't get it exactly the way I want it. When I put it in playing position, it just naturally falls. That's going to be great. Now we're going to polish the inside of the slide tubes, knock down some of that jaggedness on the outer slide so it'll be even more free. Now I'm getting happy with this. Okay, what I've got going is a length. This is a piece of miracle cloth on a rod. And I wrap this around. And I don't want this tight. I'm letting it call the shots as I just wrap it around the tube and come in. I want this to be tight, but I can still easily move this, so I'm not trying to flare or expand anything out. I'm going to come all the way down to the end. I know that this is not going to flop around. I'm not too far against the chuck, so when I engage the motor, the Miracle Cloth is a very fine, it's a polisher. So it's not removing material, but it's polishing and smoothing. It's buffing on the inside. When the tube pulls back, when about the rod about halfway is exposed, you'll see me grab onto it to control it so that nothing starts moving. By hand, take it back off. Now we'll go check the tube for straightness again and wipe it out. Let's give this a check for straight. That looks good. Now let's feel it back on the slide. Yes. That's the way we want that to feel. That feels much better. While I can still feel just a touch, I really don't think it's going to get better than that with the issues that it has. This is going to work out great. I'm going to do this other tube, then I'm going to ultrasonic clean the whole slide again to make sure that I don't have any residual dirt, oils, anything from where I've been doing. And then I'll move on and mount it back up and get it ready to go. I feel like you always have to be in pursuit of perfection. That way you get as close to your goal as you can. That feels really good. If you're always pushing to perfection, then everything that falls short, it's like it's so much better than if you just went, well, that's okay, and that's what it's going to be, and that's good enough. There's no reason not to make stuff downtown. It's just, man, this is dry. It feels great. And it's dirty. I got all this dirt back and all over it again, even though I wiped it out. I still have a little bit of drag down here in 7th position, but I think our player will be okay with that. It's not enough to stop. It's just, you know, it's there. But the age of the horn, this is going to be good. I finally feel confident about this again. Okay, so once we have our water key mounted, we have to drill the hole. I like to use number size drills for this, so I can get it as close to the hole in the nipple as I can. I kind of get a guesstimate of how much needs to be exposed. If it were to get away from me, it would not drill a hole through the other side of the tubing. Always leave you a safety way out. I'm actually going to turn this by hand. Good sharp drill bits. It's going to catch. There it is. Takes everything out. No burrs. Left with a clean hole on the inside. It's exactly what we want. All right, back and cleaned. All the debris is out. Dust, dirt. The slide feels great. No hang-ups. You can feel a little bit still, but so much better. It's not going to interfere with the playability of that at all. Okay, for the remount, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I've got the inner slides that are straight and good. The outer slides are straight and good. I know that my spacing is right. I believe we'll just pop right on, be tight fit. No worries there at all. So mocked up, I'm able to hold it and play it. That's great. I'm just going to solder everything in place. We've got the slide crook mounted up, tubes all soldered back together, and we've got this great feeling slide. Yeah, that's great. Okay, I've got to get it buffed and spot lacquered, and I'll show you the end result, and this one will be good to go. And here's our slide all finished. Color match came out well in the crook. Let's zoom in on that so you can see. It really came out nice. This one's good to go. All right. Well, in the end, that horn came out really nice. The customer is going to be very pleased when he sees this video. He'll even be more pleased when he's got it back in his hands and playing it on gigs again. Horns have a lot of sentimental value. Your horn becomes an extension of who you are, and what you do, and how you play. So that's the mindset that you have to take on when you decide, is this good enough or can I make it better? Sometimes that just a little bit more comes back to bite you. But sometimes staying with it just a little bit more, I can do that a little better. I can push my skills a little bit more. You get downtown, you get that Hollywood result, and it feels great, it looks great, and it's all about being picky. You have to be open to criticizing yourself and knowing that you can do better. Not being mean to yourself, just being honest with yourself. I can do that better. That's a personal philosophy choice. That's kind of what this video is about. Personal philosophy. How good are you going to be? Because it's up to you to find your personal best. That's what it is. Couple of tips and takeaways from this trombone repair. If you notice, when I soldered the slide crook on, I soldered from the outside. The reason I did that, instead of trying to hide it inside, hard to buff on the inside. Make it easy on yourself. Easy to buff on that outside when you have the extra tinning. Zip, zip, you're done. I could have used a lot of harsh ways to go about just expanding that tube instead of trying to polish down those ridges. Yes, you can do that. Yes, that is a repair. No, it's not something that I recommend. When you expand the tube, you expand that whole tube, you're opening it up. The tight fit is why the horn plays well. So what we were trying to do is knock off the high spots, inner and outer, so everything flows and goes back together. Make sense? All right, everybody. Thanks for stopping by the House of Tone today. I appreciate it. I know I haven't seen you in a little while. You've been busy, haven't you? I know I have. Just remember, it's better to be seen than viewed. This is Wes Lee, signing out.